Low carb diets versus the keto diet versus the carnivore diet. What's the difference, and is one better than the others when it comes to weight loss and reversing insulin resistance? Now, I just want to start off by saying that I don't think you need to follow a specific diet in order to get results. If you've watched any of my other videos, then you will know that yes, I am a big advocate for low carb diets for multiple reasons, but for the main ones being that they are extremely effective for weight loss and reversing insulin resistance. But I do think that there are ways to get results, including a few more carbohydrates in your diet as long as you're smart about them. I'll link a video up above with more info on that. Anyways, my point is that you don't have to follow a specific diet as long as you're following a few basic principles, which we'll discuss as we go through this video. But with that being said, I do think there are certain people who need to be more strict when it comes to their diet due to sensitivities, their current gut health, and autoimmune conditions. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing the differences and similarities between low carb, keto, and the carnivore diet, and how to know which one is best for you. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kate. I'm a certified health and nutrition coach. I post videos twice a week here on YouTube talking all things insulin resistance, weight loss, sleep, and more. So if you're ready to take control of your metabolic health, make sure to click that subscribe button. And you can also find me on TikTok and Instagram where I share new posts every single day. Now, a bit of background on myself and my experience. I've been eating a variation of a low carb diet for the last 6, maybe 7 years. I started eating mainly low carb paleo, then I went full ketogenic, then I switched over to the carnivore diet. And for the past few years, I've transitioned back to a more low carb paleo approach. So I have personal experience with everything we're going to be talking about today. And I've also worked with hundreds of clients using these diets as well. Now, before we get started, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've tried low carb, keto, or carnivore. Have you tried multiple of them? Which one did you feel like you got better results on? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm really curious to hear your experience. But anyways, let's get started talking about the low carb diet. The low carb diet is entirely focused around macros, short for macronutrients, and generally considered to be when you eat less than 100 grams of carbohydrates a day. But why is limiting carbs beneficial? Let's take a step back and get really basic. Out of the 3 macronutrients, protein, fat, and carbohydrates, one is mainly used by the body for building and maintaining tissue, and the other 2 are energy sources. I'm sure you've heard before that you need to eat protein in order to build muscle, but it's also needed by all of our other tissues in the body as well. Fat and carbohydrates are our energy sources. When we consume excess of either energy source beyond what our bodies can immediately use for energy, it gets stored for later, stored as body fat. Now, carbs are a quick energy source, so when we consume them, our bodies use them for energy first. Fat is slower burning, so it will only really be used for energy when our carbohydrate stores are depleted. So if you're constantly eating carbs throughout the day, your stores are never going to deplete, and you're going to stay in a state of fat storing. When you're in this state, you can't tap into your stored body fat, which is why a lot of people find it difficult to lose weight when they're eating a lot of carbohydrates. But when you lower your carb intake, then your body is able to tap into your stored fat more easily. This was a really simplified explanation. If you want to know more about how our body uses different energy sources and how to become a better fat burner, I have a whole video on metabolic flexibility, which I'll link above. But anyways, this is why low carb diets are beneficial for weight loss, for improving insulin sensitivity and reversing insulin resistance, and overall just having better control of your blood sugar. So what can you eat on the low carb diet? Technically, as long as you keep your carbohydrates low, you can eat anything. But to get the best results, you really should focus on eating whole foods and limiting processed ones. Meat, fish, and eggs are staples, as are low-starch vegetables such as cauliflower, broccoli, and mushrooms, and low-sugar fruit including avocados, olives, and berries. Nuts and seeds can also be a part of low-carb diets, as are healthy cooking oils such as coconut oil, ghee, tallow, and olive oil. Most people on low carb diets cut out or limit bread, pasta, rice, cereal, potatoes, and anything starchy. And of course, anything that's high in sugar is also out. A can of Coke, for example, has 39 grams of sugar, which is 39 grams of carbs. And that's almost half of what you should be having in an entire day. Okay, but now let's move on to the keto diet. Keto is short for ketogenic, which is a way of eating that is high in fat, moderate in protein, and low in carbohydrates. So similar to the low carb diet, but it's more extreme in restricting carbohydrates. The upper limit is generally 50 grams of total carbohydrates in a day. And by limiting carbs more, your body is able to get into a deeper state of fat burning, known as ketosis. Ketosis is a metabolic function that is completely normal. Now, with low carb diets, you're generally going in and out of ketosis throughout the day, but on the keto diet, you're in ketosis for most of the day. Now, the benefits of the keto diet go far beyond fat burning and weight loss, but we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. So what exactly can you eat on keto? Again, technically, as long as you stay under your carb limit, anything goes. But I have found that from personal experience and working with clients, when you focus your meals around whole foods and limit processed ones, you're going to get better results and feel better during the process. So basically anything you have on the low carb diet, you can have on keto, but you just need to be a little bit more mindful of the amount of carbohydrates you're consuming. Some people do choose to do keto with more processed foods, and this is known as dirty keto. And while this can work, particularly if your main goal is weight loss, it can actually lead to more inflammation, which takes away from a lot of the benefits of keto. Now, before we move on, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, ButcherCrowd. This is a company I love because they make it so easy to stick to a low carb or ketogenic whole foods diet. They're a meat subscription service that delivers Australia-wide. Everything in their boxes is 100% grass-fed and finished, pasture-raised, and wild-caught. We spoke about protein a bit earlier in this video and its role in building and maintaining muscle and other tissues. And this is one shortcoming that I see a lot of people face when they first start a low-carb or ketogenic diet. They aren't consuming enough protein and enough quality protein. ButcherCrowd can solve this problem. Head to healthcoachkate.com/ButcherCrowd to shop their range of boxes or build your own. You can pause, change, or cancel your subscription at any time, so don't worry about feeling locked in. And when you do check them out, make sure to use code KATE15 at checkout to save 15% off your first box. Thanks again to ButcherCrowd for sponsoring this video. Now, another thing that's important to ensure when you're eating a low carb and particularly a ketogenic diet is that you're eating enough fat. A lot of times people get started and they limit their carbs, but they still have this fear of fat. Yes, your body is going to be able to burn through your stored fat more easily, but you still need to be getting some externally as well. So don't trim the fat off your meat, keep the skin on your chicken, cook with healthy saturated fats such as coconut oil, ghee, and tallow. These have the added benefit of boosting ketones. And add extra fat to your meals with avocados, olives, butter, and cheese. And finally, let's talk about the carnivore diet, also known as the zero carb diet. The carnivore diet puts the focus on eating only animal products and eating no plants. This diet ends up being very low in carbohydrates by default because most animal products, with a few exceptions, have next to zero carbohydrates. So while the macro breakdown of the carnivore diet can often be similar to the keto diet, it's usually a bit higher in protein. And there isn't anything wrong with this. As I said before, most people are under consuming protein, whether they're on a low carb keto diet or not. Honestly, most people nowadays are not eating enough. Now, there is some overlap in the benefits of the carnivore diet with the low carb diet and the keto diet, but there are also some additional ones. And we'll get to that in a second. Someone who's eating the carnivore diet will only eat food from animals. Meat, fish, and eggs are staples as they are on low carb and keto, but you do not eat any additional fruits or vegetables. Any other products that come from animals can also be included. Okay, so now let's talk about whether low carb, keto, or carnivore is better suited for you. In general, for anyone whose main goal is to lose weight, to balance their blood sugar, or just improve their health overall, low carb and keto diets can work wonders. As I mentioned before, the benefits of the keto diet go far beyond weight loss. Ketones are a cleaner burning energy source for the brain, so a lot of people find their cognitive function increases. Ketosis also leads to more consistent energy levels, so you get less tired throughout the day and in between meals. The keto diet has also been shown to be extremely effective for reversing insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and PCOS. It can also lower your triglycerides and increase your HDL cholesterol. For a lot of people, low carb and keto diets can be extremely beneficial, but for others, they might need to take it a step further. There are some people, particularly people who struggle with their gut health or have autoimmune conditions, that benefit more from the carnivore diet. And this mainly comes down to an individual's sensitivity to plants and, in particular, anti-nutrients. Anti-nutrients are a plant's defense mechanism, and they impact every individual differently. So an example that a lot of people know is gluten. Gluten is actually an anti-nutrient. This is probably the most well-known anti-nutrient because it comes with some pretty obvious and clear side effects. Someone who has celiac disease is severely intolerant and needs to be very careful to not consume any gluten. But there are other anti-nutrients that can also impact certain individuals to varying degrees. Now, the downside to the carnivore diet is that it's more restrictive. You are only eating meat and animal products, and this can get very tedious for some people, especially socially. Whereas the low carb and the keto diet are much easier to adhere to when you're eating out. Skip the rice and fries and add veggies. It's usually as simple as that. Now, when it comes to deciding which diet is best for you, it really comes down to your goals. What are you hoping to gain from sticking to a diet? Is weight loss your primary focus? Then give low carb or keto a go. Do you have an autoimmune condition such as arthritis? Then carnivore might be a better option. Do you have an autoimmune condition such as arthritis? Then a deeper state of ketosis might be needed to combat inflammation, so the keto diet might be right for you. Or if your inflammation is stemming from sensitivities, then give carnivore a try. For myself, someone who has worked to improve my metabolic health and who doesn't have any severe food sensitivities, carnivore just wasn't necessary for me. Yeah, I could do it, and yeah, I felt great physically, but I was bored and I felt restricted. Eating out would make me anxious. And I realized that personally, I could feel just as good physically by eating low carb, focusing my meals around quality animal protein, and focusing on whole foods. I can eat out and follow these principles and still feel my best. And when I do have a few more carbohydrates, I'm smart about them. I use strategies such as consuming apple cider vinegar before a meal high in carbs. Or I target them around my workouts so I can use the quick energy to my advantage. But for someone in a different situation, maybe someone who's a casual exerciser, who has insulin resistance and has excess weight to lose, limiting carbs more is going to be more effective. And here's the other thing you need to remember. Don't let your diet define you. You don't have to be dogmatic about it. It's okay to eat keto some days and carnivore other days. It's okay to have a few more carbs once in a while if you're eating out. You can try keto for 30 days and see what happens. You can try carnivore for a week. So often I see people tie their identities to their diet, and this only adds extra pressure and stress. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to get healthy, and there are different approaches and different strategies that will work for different people. You can start and stop a diet at any time. Yes, it is motivating to set a time frame, 30 days, 60 days, those are very common. But for other people, this can be very overwhelming. Just take it one day at a time. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Once again, let me know if you've tried low carb, keto, or carnivore and what your experience was. I love chatting with you guys in the comment section and hearing your experiences and your stories, so chime in down below. If you did enjoy this video, you might also enjoy my video on metabolic flexibility, which I mentioned earlier. You can check it out here. If you want to catch up on my most recent upload, you can find it here. And if you want to check out my coaching programs, including my 7-day insulin resistance masterclass, my 7-day keto start program, or my 30-day keto to carnivore program, you can find those here. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.